all. Okay, so, we wanna, go through the names and everything and we'll, start the
Yeah,
meeting.
for Gallagher, present.
Tish Gallagher.
Alice Reel.
Gail Sites.
Okay, I was going to introduce our new member first, Florence Smith, but she's not here. So that's a little distressing. I haven't heard anybody say that they weren't gonna be here, so, so now we have three possibilities of being the new chair.
I think after, I think Captain Moore, mentioned Captain Moore, I think he mentioned at the last meeting, he might be unavailable today. He had a medical procedure.
Oh, he did?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. All right, well, has everybody had a chance to go over the minutes from the September meeting? Remember, we tabled those last time because we hadn't gotten them in time. Everybody was seeing them for the first time. Did anybody have any changes? Does anybody want to, make a motion that we accept them?
I move to accept.
Yeah, the September ones. Right.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now the October one, I had a couple of things. Do you have this, Kathy, where you're, and it said, on the first page was committee member follow-up for the September meeting, Gail Sites. She wasn't there at the October meeting, but we put in the sites are different, we put it in the November meeting, not the October meeting. Because obviously we can't,
November, well,
yeah, so that should be changed.
follow up
We
from,
spoke, but I'm not sure.
Because it was October meeting.
It was the October, so she was gonna make a report for the next meeting, which would be November. She didn't make them.
from the, no, it says from the November, so this is November.
It should say, Ms. Real reported that Ms. Sites would give her report at the November.
Oh, I'm
meeting.
sorry, I'm looking at the wrong.
Yeah.
Thing, okay, the November.
Okay. Okay, and then,
I think you're right. It is 3 countries pizza.
it is 3 countries, you're right.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't, on the page 4, I couldn't make out this sentence exactly. And this is a discussion of the benefit cost ratio, it's the 4th paragraph down there, and how it is calculated and sued. During discussion, Ms. Doringa explained that a structure is losses avoided of buildings being flooded.
I did that verbatim.
What did you?
I don't know what that meant either. That's why I did it verbatim.
Losses avoided of building being flooding. I think she's
Well, I
trying to say
understand.
flooding in the yard doesn't count in the calculation, so.
I think what she said, what she meant was the structure is losses that potentially
She was
can,
talking
that
about
can be
prevention.
avoided, right, prevention. How much is being lost? Losses means what is being prevented.
Yeah, what would be lost?
What
if it was
avoided, though?
damaged. It's called
That's
losses
exactly what she
avoided
said.
By whatever preventive measures you take.
That a structure is losses avoided of buildings being flooded.
I don't know. I'm
That's
That is
just,
how she said it. I do
That is how
recall.
she said
Yeah.
it.
I did that
We can
verbatim,
quote
so
her.
I can, sure.
Okay, just so we know that that's what was said, so I don't wanna like create a
Okay,
new
so losses,
meaning for
the
it,
whole
but-
sentence.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right,
Wait,
yeah, go ahead.
are you done?
No, I was about to ask if anybody else had any.
Yes, I do. On page 3, under discussion of strategies for taking on smaller projects, 1, 2, 3. Mr. Gallagher opined that Route 9 north of the city is more attainable.
Which paragraph is
Oh, right.
attainable?
Yeah.
Anything else? Gail? Anything? No? Okay.
I wasn't here, so.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't know, would you? No. Okay, so, anybody want to make a motion to accept the minutes as amended? Nobody
So
wants
made, yeah.
Okay,
So,
I'll second it. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye, okay. All right, discussion of context with funding sources. Now, when you weren't here, Gail, but, we sort of, Emily Doringa, had you been here? Yeah, you were here the meeting before. Okay, so you better. She gave us a rundown of where the funding might be, you know, and most of the people we've discussed in the past, but, so you had Denrec, but I know we spoke on the phone and you said you wouldn't really,
No, I was
didn't have the
hoping,
context that I thought you had.
no, I was hoping that someone from the city or, Emily might, I don't even know which division of Denrec we should be, contacting.
So Emily and I are working together to contact people at Denver to seek out grant opportunities, and there's a couple of them. One of them being surface water matching planning grant. That fund cycle doesn't occur again until next summer, with funding awarded in the fall. So we're gonna work through that
Oh, okay, so
application process.
That's actually a year away.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But we're gonna work through that one, and then there was another one that she mentioned and.
FEMA? Wow, oh,
For
she mentioned.
Denver.
For Denver,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
So
And
what was that one? So what
Surface water
organization?
matching planning grant to check storm drains, make sure the storm drains and everything underground is braided properly and flowing properly, and there's no cracks, there's no blockages, things like that.
All right,
would you want to speak to FEMA now that while you're speaking, you said that you were going to look into FEMA for us?
Yes, we are also working on contacting them. I don't have any updates yet,
Okay,
but hopefully we'll get some soon.
okay. How about NOAA?
I looked briefly at NOAA. Honestly, I don't have a lot of hope for any of these, given our political situation right now. This is for the 2025. But as we know, that all depends on approval of the budget, which was only approved for 2 months, and now we have a totally Republican anti-climate change.
That's gonna affect a lot of things.
It is,
I
it
agree with you
is.
there.
But they did have it in their 1,090 some page thing that they give to Congress asking for more money, or the Department of Commerce, however they do it. And it's Climate Program Organization or something, CPO. And they do have one grant that looks like it is towards resiliency and prevention kind of things. It wouldn't be enough. It looked like it was 100,000 to 750,000, but it would be something.
Yeah,
You know, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
be enough for like dikes and all of that, but maybe it would help towards the spot out here.
is NOAA the one that they want to eliminate totally? Is that one of the things that I heard
That's
that
probably
they?
one of them. Yeah, so that's why I said it's not, I'm not real hopeful about it, so I guess I was just in a mood at the time, but I mean, that's what they have. I don't think it will hold up.
Well, I was looking for, the name of somebody to contact at Corps of Engineers, and I talked to Kevin, I corresponded with Kevin Donnelly, and, he just sent me a website, because he said that they don't really do things like this, I guess, but anyway, you know, do things by somebody requesting them is what it sounds like. But anyway, so I looked up the local offices. I knew there was a Philadelphia office of the Corps of Engineers, and I just emailed just out of the blue, you know. And I almost immediately got a response from a fellow named Stephen Rochette, who is a public affairs officer, and he wanted to talk to us, or to talk to me and whoever else wanted to be part of it. And also with Ed Voigt, who's the government affairs officer, who grew up in this area and was very interested in talking. And I said, well, you want to come down, or what do you want to do? He said, let's do a phone call at the beginning, and then maybe there's after that, we can follow up with a meeting there, which sounded very, it sounded positive to me. I also, from the email from the website that Kevin sent me, I looked up, this, the site, and it's partnering with the US Corps of Engineers. And it turns out they do wait for cities, towns, whatever, to ask them to help. And they do flood risk management projects. And but tell me if you've heard this before. They have to do a feasibility study. And then they have to do or if the feasibility study works out, then they do a planning, and then they do design, and then they do
Engineering.
construction. It all takes many, many years. Even the feasibility study, they put in, you know, a budget for the year after, so it's like 2 years to get even a feasibility study. But, you know, it's something.
Right.
And this may also be affected by a new budget. Who knows? Maybe Elon thinks that this is not worth anything either. But but the other drawback of this one would be that they asked for at least a 25% contribution from the local, you know, non-federal entity.
So we'd have to look for money elsewhere.
Yes, but in the feasibility study, that your contribution can be in kind. So, you know, so you don't have to have any money for the feasibility study. Here's the other thing. All of this has to be approved through your congressional offices. So, even the feasibility study has to be passed by Congress. And I think this is one of those things where, you know, a senator or a congressman brings it up and they said, okay, fine, whatever. And that takes care of that. But then every phase of it also has to go through that same process of being approved by Congress. So it sounds like it's very complicated, especially at this point, very fraught. But we're having a phone call tomorrow where, you know, Suzanne and Gail and I are going to talk to these fellas, and see what's there, if there's anything to be had. And, you know, it's not the, you know, it sounds very familiar to us that have gone through this process before, you know, with the Department of Agriculture, but you have to hold out hope, Billy, you know. Anyway,
So I think it's important, of course, Senator Coons is the only one who has an established office at this point, because the other two are brand new, but to find out if they work with someone in particular at the office.
Right.
Because usually those offices, you have so somebody's assigned to
Right.
Army Corps.
You mean
It
like
used to
in
be,
Senator Coons' office?
yeah, in Senator Coons' office. It used to be Andrew Dinsmore, but I know he's left Senator Coons' office and he has another job in government. So anyway, there must be somebody assigned.
well, I'm hoping that a public affairs officer might actually know who it is that they deal with.
Well, that's what I'm
from
saying.
the-
Tomorrow we need to find
Yeah.
out
Mhm.
if there's someone in
Government
particular.
affairs officer. Gotta know, right? I
Right.
think. So we can get those names, hopefully.
No, of course, the other two offices are brand new.
I know, but wouldn't you think that Lisa Blunt Rochester would like, you know, to show how involved she is, you know, in each individual community, and
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
it's gonna take her a little bit
I
to
know.
get her feet on the
that's the
ground.
problem, yeah.
I will say, Alice, I think it is a good idea to at least explore this, because the other project we're still in limbo with. So at least trying to get this started, maybe if we attack it from multiple angles, you know.
Yeah,
this will get
absolutely.
us somewhere.
And, you know, I was gonna ask them too tomorrow about smaller projects as opposed to larger projects. Do they take less time? My guess is no.
Mhm.
So if that's the case, then we might as well go for the bigger project.
Yeah.
But you know, I was thinking about these smaller projects and how we can get some kind of movement somewhere. And I thought about a broad gut, you know, and Route 9 and Ferry Cutoff, that area there, 3 countries. Pizza?
But have we moved on to strategies going forward?
Oh, well, yes,
Okay.
unless you have something else to add to there.
But I do.
Okay, good.
I do. I just wanted to mention, I forgot when I was
Okay.
talking about NOAA, that in 2024, the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, in partnership with NOAA, put out requests for proposals for the National Coastal Resilience Fund.
Oh,
Yeah, now this goes into a little more detail than what they had for 2025 that I could find, but funded projects will restore, increase, and strengthen natural infrastructure, the landscapes that help absorb the impacts of storms and floods. So we wouldn't be talking about dikes and gates and all of that kind of stuff, but we could be looking at some of the other
living
issues.
shoreline.
The living shoreline, or even over here, some of the marshes
Marshes,
and,
right.
yeah, that kind of thing. In 2023, they provided 189 million for the restoration or expansion of natural features such as coastal marshes and wetlands, dune and beach systems, oyster and coral reefs, mangroves. Hey, we could get some mangroves out there. Coastal forests, coastal rivers, and barrier islands. This year, the fund will invest approximately 140 million in projects.
do we know when they,
Pre-proposals for 2024 were in April.
okay, so it's April coming up for the next year, do you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Can we look into that and see if, what you have to do in order to get the, what, is there a form or something like that that you're,
Probably,
If you want to send it to me, I can look into it.
hmm,
If you want to send it to me, I can look into it.
okay. Yeah, I have something on that, so yes. I just need to find it, but thank you I just wanted to clarify that what I was talking about was probably more natural stuff,
right,
but it might help,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
at least a portion of it.
By the way, the Corps of Engineers, they were the ones who were doing the coastal things for Hoboken. Remember that, guys?
Mhm.
And so that, we're sort of in the same situation as Hoboken, as we found out. They're both like filled in land and, subject to flooding internally and externally. And the external flooding was being taken care of by the Corps of Engineers. They didn't even have to do anything to do with it, I guess, but put some money into it, I suppose. But anyway. So strategies going forward, the only thing I was thinking about is how can we get a project going? And I thought, we're looking at the, like say the Broad Dyke and the flooding on Route 9 there at the ferry cutoff. How do we find out what to do? What is the thing to do to fix that? And I thought maybe the city, with some money that we might have, could hire somebody to just tell us what is the best way to approach that. And then with that, then we go to funding sources like, FEMA or, the construction that Nicole Poor might be able to help us with, that kind of thing. That we could at least have something that was, here's what we need to do, here's what's gonna cost, can you help us? For that part of it.
So isn't that what you and Denra came in to look at?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about for like surface water, with this surface water matching planogram, like looking at the drainage systems and seeing if it's structurally sound. And then from there, determining that analysis would then determine how to fix it.
So we're working on that.
We're gonna work on applying for that grant.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But
Okay.
I will say, when I was in town, then we got that grant, I think 3 times to work through our, surface, and our drainage. And it was very helpful we televised the storm drains, took cameras and looked inside them, determined if there were cracks, determined if there were leaks. It was really helpful.
Okay.
And you and Emily are
Mhm.
gonna work on that together, but
Yes.
it's spring.
It's spring summer
July.
application, and then I think September is when the award goes out.
All right, additional comments by task
Well,
force?
so
members?
I was thinking about how can we break this big project down? I agree we need to continue with the federal funding, but it's gonna be in flux for a while. So, to keep in touch, but the federal, the big project, I think we're not gonna know for a while. So we talked about how do we break, how could we attack, different pieces? And I don't, other than this project that we're talking about, on Route 9, to take, the NRCS project was going to attack the whole, or was gonna solve the whole city of Wilmington, or of Newcastle, right? From, north to south. Is there a way we could break it up? So one of Timmy's comments in one of the minutes was, he talked to Kevin Donnelly, and Kevin said, well, you might need to break this up into smaller pieces, but we sitting here don't know how to do that. So I was wondering if we couldn't have like a working meeting with Kevin, who certainly knows.
I was
our-
gonna say, Kevin has committed to going to our February meeting,
Okay, but I was wondering,
To what?
to our February meeting.
okay, like a smaller working committee to sit down with Kevin and Emily and Antonia and maybe one of us and come up with a plan to present
I
to
don't
our.
know that Kevin is willing to do that, because even going to the meeting, he said I'd need 2 or 3 months, and it took him a while to respond to my email. I'm not sure we can rely on him for that. Not that he's not reliable, I just mean he's probably extremely busy or whatever. I mean, but we could do it, but,
We could do that internally, with myself, Emily, Chris, you, whoever.
Right, and just take a look at how could we
well, I
break
also,
it down into smaller pieces.
well, we talked about that last meeting, about there are certain things that are obvious to everyone who lives here. And it would be great if we could fix at least one of those. And one of them is the Route 9 and Ferry Cutoff there in front of Three Seasons.
Right, well,
Three
yes, we were just talking about that, right?
And also Route 9 over, below Dobbins, so is it below? Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's in the pipeline.
Yeah, that's in the
That you
pipeline, I mean,
can't-
that's, right,
That's way too big,
right.
yeah.
Well, if we do something that doesn't make a difference to a lot of people, though, it won't really, I mean, it'll be
I
nice.
think Ferry
but it
Cutoff affects a lot
Yeah,
of people.
yes,
Mhm.
that's why we thought maybe we would start there. I know, and I said, and also the Strand,
Yeah,
but
she did,
So-
she said, Gil, that you were
Can you
concerned
tell me
about
more
it, but
about the Strand, Gail? Because Emily wanted a little bit more detail and you live there, so can you tell us what
Right.
happens?
So, the river just came over the bank 2 days ago, I mean, regularly,
well, a full moon.
yeah, full moon.
oh, right.
I mean, it doesn't need a storm anymore, it just comes over the bank. And at least 6-10 times a year, it just comes over. And sometimes it's just in the back of us. Now, we have quite a bit of land between our historic houses and the river,
Right.
and sometimes it comes up into the gardens, the formal gardens. And I'm trying to remember the last time it went into people's basements. There was a storm, it was a nor'easter.
Okay.
It might have been a couple of years ago, but it flooded several of the basements. I mean, our basement, we've done some protection and ours didn't get flooded that time, but our neighbors did. I remember, the Lorenzes who live on the corner of Harmony and the Strand, and they had been in a year or two, and they had all kinds of stuff in their basement and they lost it all.
That's a
Because they
shame.
weren't expecting, and it
Right.
came, this time, it was a nor'easter, so it came across Harmony.
Right.
So if it's a hurricane, it tends to come the other way and push the water that way. If it's a nor'easter, it comes from the north and
Right.
it floods that way. So I would say at least once a year, there's water in the basements. But the river just comes up over the banks all the time.
Right.
Um,
And when it doesn't go into people's basements, but it just floods the yards and things like that, how long does it typically last?
It usually, so we typically get a big puddle and the geese come in and the ducks and float around for a while. A couple days.
Okay.
And then it'll
It's
recede.
entertaining though, isn't it? At least.
Yeah, then you
I-
have more goose poop in your yard.
Yeah.
Don't
I'm
start
thinking
dealing
it
with
was
poop.
last winter where it came over the banks and it froze.
Oh, God.
And,
So you had an ice rink.
yeah, so I think, one of the neighbors actually went, put ice skates on and went out and skated out back.
Wow,
So it's a lot.
absolutely.
And so talking about a smaller project, the other end of the strand between Delaware Street and the Reed House lot, they do have a small berm that they did, Ellie, she, one of the neighbors owned like that whole piece back there. And so she and another neighbor just,
They mentioned that at the meeting the other night. They were
Okay.
kind of bragging about how they were protecting their property.
Yes, okay.
But at the time, I thought, well, maybe that's why Gail and them are having
that's
more.
big,
now.
big. And
You
so we actually got Kevin in. So there's 5 of our houses that live on the other side of the Reed House lot and Harmony Street. And we were talking about trying to connect into their berm and build our own berm. But, I thought, we were gonna pay for it and, just for some protection. And Kevin helped us. He actually did some design and measurements and, but it got to be problematic. First of all, we couldn't figure out Harmony Street because the water, if we were
Mhm.
just doing the 5 of us, then if the water comes that way.
Right.
Mhm. You don't want
So
to
I
bring
was-
it around some.
Right, and we couldn't figure out that piece of it, because that would be the city, there's all these entities you have to get involved. And then I think we got new neighbors and it just kind of fell apart, and I decided it would be better to come on something like this that had citywide,
Yeah.
city
Mhm.
acceptance
Absolutely.
rather than trying to do something ourselves.
Mhm.
So anyways, so I was just wondering if, Kevin at that point was willing to like look at our, little situation there on part of the strand. But I was just, is there some way to divide it up? And
Well, I was just gonna say, the Corps of Engineers in this booklet, and we haven't spoken to them yet. But they do say they have floodplain management services. Let's see. Addresses the needs of people who live and work in floodplains by helping them better understand flood hazards and actions they can take to reduce property damage and prevent the loss of life caused by flooding. Program's objective is to foster public understanding of the options available. And they also have the floodplain management service program are provided to state, tribal, regional, and local governments at no cost with program funding limits. When funding is available, they'll work with the requesting organization to develop a scope of work and assemble the appropriate study team for the effort being requested. So it's possible that the Corps of Engineers can help us with, at least looking at it and see if there's something that can be done quickly and at not so much expense, and they will do it for free if they can, if they have the ability. And like I said, the guy, Mr. Rochette, seemed very eager to help us. Now, maybe that's just because he was bored that day, I don't know, but,
Well, what's her name with the last group was really eager to help us.
she
except
was.
She wasn't.
Yeah, we've been burned, yeah, so twice shy, absolutely. Yeah, but anyway, so we can ask tomorrow about, that specific thing, if
Right.
this is something. Like I said, I tried to get a hold of Kevin and I was just asking him for the name of the person at Corps of Engineers, and it took 2 emails and a text to get him.
But I'm wondering if it came from the city rather, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
And I'll
possible.
pass that info along to Emily and she and I can brainstorm and see if there's any.
At the time, I actually got some funding from Senator Ford.
Is that
to
right?
pay for his services. So I think their organization, the Conservation District.
Yes.
They are a service, but they need to get,
Yeah.
funding or, exchange funding or whatever.
Right.
And so she donated, or not donated, but she got the Conservation District some funding to do that study.
Yeah.
The houses behind the berm that was previously put there, they have not had water.
I don't think so.
Okay, but I know that the houses on the on the Strand, on the other side of Harmony Street,
The new
North.
houses,
some of
Yeah.
them have had water as well. I
Right.
don't know that, Steve has, because I think he's got a wall or something there, but,
Velastakis,
yeah,
yes.
but those
He
other
did. He
houses.
He put something in there,
He
yeah.
did, he had big equipment
Yeah,
back
I don't,
there.
I'm not
think
sure
he's-
he was allowed to do that. but-
Right.
Right, but, and that of course may be affecting the others, but I know that one house that they just built recently. I went by after just one of our regular high tides and they had so many logs and sticks and stuff in
Yes.
their backyards.
Yes.
Right, I know
That's
those
the flowers.
houses.
Yeah.
Just like the, Port Casimir gets it, and yet we don't because there's a berm
Right,
Right.
on the city property part of,
yeah, the
like Bull Hill.
berm,
Right, right.
came in front of you but it ends.
It ends,
Like in.
right, yeah,
It
right
crosses the
there
road
at
and then
Chestnut
it-
Street.
Yeah, and the Chestnut Street.
Yeah.
Yes. So they extended the dike a little ways, but then it just stops. So, and then we're totally unprotected.
Yeah,
And then the
so,
berm from, Ambacorda extends a little bit
into the
into
battery. park.
battery, and then it ends, and then the rest of the battery gets flooded.
Yeah, so I mean, we can see it happening. We need to close up those gaps.
Right. I just
Um,
wonder if there's some way to divide it up somehow, so we don't need so much funding at one time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and maybe,
Not at the same time
maybe-
pursue these other.
and maybe not worry about raising anything, we've been pretty protected so far with what we've got, but protect the rest of it.
See,
Um,
but this is what I don't understand, because last month, Tim said that, it was Kevin said there wouldn't be any, reaction if you put it up, you put just a small part of it up and then, but what you're telling me is that they put a berm up there and you got hit harder, and I'm skeptical of that you can do piece by piece and not have something else inundated. As far as that goes.
That's why you would need an engineer.
Exactly.
I can't sit here and
Yeah.
say what's affecting what, but.
But the pieces that have been done are protected and the pieces that haven't been done are not.
That's what I'm saying.
So I think it
But
can
are
be
they-
done piece by piece.
But yes, but are you adversely affecting those pieces that haven't been
Well,
done yet?
clearly, you are,
Yes.
Yeah.
clearly you are,
But if you
but
do it in a
it's a
coordinated
start.
effort
It's
and
a start.
right.
Cause the Reed House had a proposal to put some sort of a high thing on the property that's on the water that they own across from the Reed House. And I was on a committee reviewing it and I was going, you can't do that because you're just gonna shoot the water.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
And so they've held off on that and they're gonna take what funds they have and work on their gardens there
Right.
instead. But yes, you really need to think about that because you're just gonna shoot water around.
yeah. It's complicated, isn't it?
It
So-
is
so I-
extremely
so,
complicated.
Maybe the city could reach out. and,
That's my biggest thing is, we don't know, do we? We don't know because we're not engineers and floodplain managers or whatever. And we need somebody who can come in here and tell us, and that's why I thought maybe we could hire somebody to come up with a plan, but if Denrick is gonna do it, great.
Well, so that would be another funding source possibly through Denrick, but now that I know more details about this, I'll take this back to Emily and we can see which funding source would be best to apply for, or if her office can come up with a recommendation to how to piecemeal this together and
Yeah.
make it work.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking is that we should, I think Senator Poor's very aware of our situation, but maybe do a little tour with Senator Cook and, or not Senator, Representative Cook and Minor Brown.
Mhm.
Because I think she lives in the Garrison right now, but they might not be aware of the extent of the flooding issues we have in the areas that they represent. And So maybe if the conservation district does need some funds, then they could support that for a study.
Definitely.
So that could be another path forward, is to get our representatives, our local representatives, and to just understand the situation.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else has something?
Do you want me to ask, Emily if she can join the call tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, if you can send me that information, I'll.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I said before that I am resigning as the chair at the end of the year, and I actually think this could be the end of the year, because I think in December, we don't have anything extra to add right now, do we? So I was thinking we would skip and go to January, when we have a little bit more of an idea of what the funding situation is gonna be like that. But anyway, we're not all here. And I know you are already chair of something, right? Or are you still, or not, maybe not?
I am
Yeah.
Chair of Board of Health
Yeah,
and
You're a
treasurer
trustee.
of,
Yeah.
the senior center.
right. And you say you
Secretary,
can't do
sorry.
it. I'm resigning, so I don't know what we do. I would love to hear some suggestions about that. Because, I mean, I've done this for 3 years. I just am burned out. So I'd like to hear what you think we can do.
Alice, that's why I suggested we put that in when we were doing the update for the code, is because it's not in the Board of Health, and I've tried every year.
Oh, to get off.
And
Yeah.
well, I don't wanna get off.
No,
the
no,
Board
I
of Health,
understand. I
But
understand,
I'd
yeah.
like at some point for somebody else to take
Right,
over,
right.
and Kathy, you've been there, it's just like everybody looks it down.
I know.
Yeah, they don't wanna do
The
it.
problem we have is that Tim also has, he has responsibility with the fire department, and, so Florence isn't even here yet. That would be really bad. And the only person left is Mike Smith, and he's been to 2 of the last 4 meetings.
Right.
So I don't know
I
what to
don't know.
do. I seriously don't know what to do. So in keeping with, what anybody will do if you don't know what to do, I'm not gonna do anything right now. We'll do it in January. How's that? We'll, put off a, discussion, and, we'll see if anything happens, and then I'm just gonna, hope that by then I don't know what we're gonna change, but, so can I suggest that we do not have a December meeting, that we go to January? Is everybody agreed to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And everybody have a wonderful holiday. Never mind. We will, right now, I will send an email out to everybody to go over what the board of, the Corps of Engineers guy says. So, you'll know that. You won't have to wait till January to hear that. If there's any, hopefully it'll be good news, if, at least it'll be interesting, I hope. So I don't see any public to make comments, so, anybody, I wanna move that we adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor?
I
Aye, okay, all done. Okay, the beer adjourned. Okay,